because he always used to happy when like defenders have been given like.
The World Cup is mad. America are doing their thing. Turkey was labeled a dark horse and they haven't made it happen. Brazil won 3-0. The World Cup is underway. There's a great amount of football to speak about and obviously discuss. Don't let that distract you, though, from the fact that Arsenal are the 2025-26 Premier League champions, people. The fixture list has been announced. Go and check out that video. Yeah. But where I'm concerned here, people, unfortunately, Arsenal are still linked with Mason Greenwood. We'll cover that. I've covered that before. If it was just on football, of course, he's a quality player. With the off-field mess and all of that stuff, I don't want him at my football club. I'm going to leave that here. Apparently, Morgan Rogers' price has dropped, and we're still linked with Nico Paz. And I give anything around Real Madrid, whether it's Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Nico Paz, who's owned by Real Madrid, but not owned by Real Madrid. You know how the buyback clause thing works. Because of Hand of Arsenal, he said, we're monitoring the Real Madrid situation. I am monitoring the Real Madrid situation, whether that is Nico Paz, whether that is Tchouaméni, whether that is Camavinga, whether that is Arda Güler, Diaz, anybody that's linked with anybody, which Arsenal and many teams in this silly season are. The dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. Until people are holding shirts, doing interviews, everything is taken with a pinch of salt. Smash the like button, people. Let me know your thoughts. Again, I've got the creative juices flowing, or at least I hope I've got that flowing, people. So I need to see comments. I need you lot to engage with this, and I want to know you lot's thoughts. Now, I'm having Nico Paz. I've said this before, yeah, but we're Arsenal. We like these kind of creative kind of man. I think Nwaneri will be sold, but for argument's sake, I don't want Nwaneri to be sold. Whether he goes out on loan or whatever, I think he's got a future here. But Ethan Nwaneri, Max Dowman, currently Martin Odegaard, Eze, and hopefully Morgan Rogers, all of these guys can play in a bunch of other roles. And to be fair, we've seen Marino and Kai occupy the 10 role throughout a season. So in Arteta's mind, there's even more. But you got all of these guys, yeah. And I must admit, as I always say, you can make a case of Arsenal getting a fullback that can play left-hand side, right-hand side, or a centre-back that's, you know, if he's left-footed, he can play left-back, or if he's right-footed, he can play at fullback as well as centre-half. You can make a case of that. You can make a case for another striker. I therefore want another central midfielder, people, whether it's a 6 or an 8 or a multifunctional one. I think we could do with one of those, and actually indirectly too, because for me, if you go and get Morgan Rogers and Bouaddi, I think that gives us more options and it allows us to be a bit cute and clever with Declan Rice, even though we're not the same side without him. And a left winger. Of all the things I've said there, left wing is the one everybody probably would agree on. Every Arsenal fan, some would have said, we don't need another defender, we don't need another striker, we don't need a centre mid. Here, there, and everywhere. Every Arsenal fan would unite for a left winger. Now, I ramble about that to say this. As I was saying with all the guys that can play in that 10 role, right? Arsenal should always be open to creative players. Everyone, you can't have enough of them. They're the match winners, etc. But it did take me by surprise to see Hand of Arsenal speak about inquiries around Nico Paz. And it's not just us. Everybody's probably sniffing around him. Real Madrid's a tall ox, especially when they're at where they're at and their caliber of player. So when he's spoken about it, that made me think, oh, whatever I think about, maybe a striker, maybe a left winger, defensive reinforcements, central midfielding reinforcements. I wouldn't describe needing a number 10 on paper as a priority. I know I want Morgan Rogers, but it made me think, oh, are the club considering that? Because Marino, Kai, Odegaard, we don't know if they're going to be here in the next 2 years. Potentially Nwaneri the same. Obviously, if we sign Rogers, we've got Max Dowman and we've got Eze. Them ones will be. Get where I'm going. So, yeah, DiMarzio apparently has said, Real Madrid now plan to activate their buyback clause for Nico Paz. Then they're considering selling him to the Premier League. Now, it depends how you look at it, because at Como, he will get a move. I don't know for the Real Madrid move, but you will move to another top club. Arsenal would have him. Arsenal would have him. Man United would have him. City would have him. Chelsea would have him. Spurs would have him. All the traditional top 6 would have him. Would you be a key player at some of these teams, all of them or none of them? My point being stability. You've got a good thing going on at Como. Your stock is rising. I also understand, you know, Real Madrid have brought in a lot of free players. All the news around Real Madrid is Elise and this player and that player. They're trying to spend the bag. So simply put, if they could activate their release clause, which is probably 10, 20 million, and sell him to these shows where you're looking at 50 plus, it's a quick little profit. And he probably will end up there one day again, people. So, yeah, what do you lot make of any potential Nico Paz links? A few weeks ago, Real Madrid told Como that they will trigger the buyback clause for Nico Paz. But since then, many things happened, including a conversation between Paz and Jose Mourinho. And obviously, Real Madrid got bare young players like that, exciting young players. They got Musintano, they got Nico Paz, you know, Endrick sniffing around, you know, obviously, well, there's a number of players. So there's many there in it, really. And, you know, Jose's task is to get Real Madrid winning La Liga, doing proper in the Champions League, you know, being mentioned as on a footballing point of view, beyond the prestige. And we know they're the biggest club in the world. In terms of what we see with our feet, well, not our feet, well, their feet. What we see with our eyes with what they're doing with their feet, they're one of the better sides. So that did surprise me, but they've got bigger things to worry about. But would you not go for Nico Paz? Because again, that correlates with Hand of Arsenal saying that Nico Paz was a bit baffled around when he had a conversation with Jose. Aston Villa lower Rodgers asking price and mid-Arsenal transfer update. Allegedly, Aston Villa reportedly reduced their asking price for Morgan Rodgers as speculation over the future of the England Arsenal target intensifies. Now, his stock could potentially rise at the World Cup. It's the highest it's probably been in his short career. I say that he's still only 23, 24. Why would you? If he said, I only want Arsenal, then that's a spanner in the works. But Arsenal would, again, another player, you know, good players, pretty women are wanted by everybody, innit? Everybody would want Morgan Rodgers. And if Aston Villa are going to sell him for FFP, you want to sell him to the highest bidder. Now, if he has said Arsenal and Arsenal only, that's the priority. But if he really is dead set on leaving, and for argument's sake, Arsenal move away from this deal, he's going to have to go somewhere else, innit? But if they have, that's amazing stuff. We've made a new left winger our top focus for the club and for Andrea Berta. Martinelli and Trossard have been linked with Newcastle United amongst other clubs, and it's widely led to believe that one, if not both of them, could be moved on. We know Arteta is an admirer of Rodgers. This is nothing new to us. Aston Villa's difficult financial position, in part down to overspending on player wages and transfer fees relative to their revenue, is said to have opened a door for Rodgers to be sold. It has previously been reported Aston Villa would demand a fee in excess of 100 million that Manchester City paid for Grealish. Sky Sports believe the figure is closer to 80 million and could tempt Aston Villa's hand. The Midlands club are said to have accepted. They have little say in keeping Rodgers, even after a fourth place finish and a return to the Champions League, and also winning the Europa League. Chelsea and Manchester United are also monitoring the situation. Sky Sports insists that no formal talks have taken place between Arsenal and Villa, while the wider expectation is that no real progress will be made until after England's World Cup exploits end. And I hear that, I agree with that, it is what it is, but I'm seeing there's no doubt going to be movement after the World Cup. There was movement before it. There's a lot of signings that are going on while players are at the World Cup. So that makes me think a bit illogical in that club. I'm cool. Berta, Arteta, Kroenke, you lot have earned my patience and things. But as the illogical part of me, let's get it done, man. Let's get it wrapped up. Standard Sport understands that Bournemouth's Ellie Junior Krupi is on Arsenal's shortlist too after a brilliant first season in England. However, Bournemouth's stance is far firmer, than Aston Villa's in that they viewed the Frenchman as not for sale. They'll probably be more open to negotiations a year from now. Allegedly, Newcastle have held talks with Arsenal over Martinelli as one of 3 left-wing targets. They've also been linked with Leandro Trossard as well as Liverpool's Cody Gakpo. Apparently, talks have already happened between Arsenal and Newcastle over a possible move for the duo. They were directly informed that Trossard is in advanced talks over joining Besiktas, which is probably why the Greek lad is going to be the one for us. They've asked Arsenal about Trossard and Martinelli. They also like Cody Gakpo, but the current feeling seems to be that Martinelli could be cheaper. And they've also been linked with Ethan Nwaneri. Arsenal want to sell Nwaneri, so there's bound to be suitors, said whoever Brown is. Newcastle will be among them because they know they're going to have to improve after a difficult season. Listen, if he goes, I want a first option. I want a buyback clause. I want a fat sell-on clause. For me, I want to see him go on loan, and that's what's of interest to me. A permanent deal is definitely an option, but he could be allowed to leave on loan again as well if Arsenal are willing to wait and see how he develops before next summer. I don't want us to make any hasty decisions. We've been linked with Everton's Ndiaye. Admittedly, people have covered this. I'm not going to give any talk to it, really, if I'm honest with you. He's also been linked with Arsenal, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Aston Villa. Ndiaye, I wouldn't be against it, but it just doesn't seem like it's one we're going for. Declan Rice has been voted Arsenal's player of the season. Ben Jacobs has said, when asking PSG sources, Bacola's not for sale. If things develop and PSG find an attacker, whether left or right, then their perspective could change. I'm told the player is open to leaving because he wants to play regularly. Arsenal is a situation that's worth keeping an eye on. I sense with Arsenal that Rodgers is the player that they're likely to prioritize for now. But if Bacola becomes available in the market, he's on Arsenal's shortlist. Jose Mourinho's not giving up on Piero Hincapié. We know that's not happening. Real Madrid scouts were in Boston to watch Bouaddi. I mean, if Real Madrid are involved, they're going to go for him. Apparently, Leo want to listen to offers for 70 million. Real Madrid have expressed interest. And Camavinga seems to be the one of the week that is the one that would be moved on at Real Madrid. they're saying he's got a 60 million euros asking price. So if they find a buyer for him, this guy's 70, it's kind of paid for itself. Going back to what we said earlier, the Nico Paz stuff, you get where I'm going. Apparently, our first bid for Jeremy Mongo was rejected, but there's confidence from all parties involved that that will be consulted. And apparently, the plan is for him to do a full pre-season with us, and then Arteta will decide if he needs to go out on loan or whatever have you, people. There's also comments that we need to sell to buy before we actually make a move for Bradley Barcola. I would change that language to we don't need to sell to buy. We want to sell to buy. We want to, get a lot of these players off the wage bill and just look after what we're looking after. Arsenal have been linked with Mason Greenwood as well as Tottenham Hotspur. Romano has quashed Spurs links. I don't think Arsenal are going to go down that route, but yeah, let me know your thoughts.
He always just like, I think